You can start. And please, you're muted. Your microphone is muted.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm welcoming us to today's GED classes for life sciences, and we'll quickly round off with where we stopped during our last class, which was on digestive system. Then we'll be commencing with our next topic today, which is respiratory systems, sensory and health issues. Then we will have questions to solve. One more time, I'm Prince, and I will be your instructor for today's GED classes, life sciences. Now, I will introduce respiratory system. Respiratory system is just its constituents. Its constituent organs are your nose, the throat, the trachea, and the lungs. And the major function of the respiratory system is the transport of oxygen. It takes oxygen from the air and transports it into the body through processes like diffusion. It has relevant parts such as the trachea, into which we has two tubes called the bronchi, and the bronchi has branch holes. So the simple idea of the respiratory system is that it's a system, a very relevant part of the body system that it has a singular responsibility of transferring oxygen into the body, and at the same time the transfer of carbon dioxide out of the body when we exhale. The organs involved are your nose, your mouth, your throat, your larynx, your trachea, your bronchi, your lungs, your diaphragm, your alveoli, and so on and so forth. We have the nervous system, the ribs, and the intercostal muscle. So quickly, we'll be talking about the nervous system. The nervous system consists of your brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves. The nervous system is what we call is like the central processing unit of the body. You can refer to it as a central processing. It's in charge of nerves coordination, your reflex actions, your sensory actions is being coordinated by the nervous system. Now, let's look at some questions here that will help us have a proper understanding of what we are doing today. Now, let's look at this question. It says, how are the alveoli in the lungs and the villi in the small intestine similar? How are the alveoli in the lungs and the villi in the small intestine? A, both are structures located in the respiratory system. Both are structures located in the digestive system. Both are structures in which substances pass through capillary walls in the blood. Both are structures involved in coordination and movement. Now, how is the alveoli related to the villi in the small intestine? The alveoli is present in the lungs. Now, the answer is option C. The option C, both structures in which substances pass through capillary walls into the blood. Now, the alveoli and the villi, they are both responsible for facilitating movement of substance. The only difference is that the alveoli carries gases, while the villi is responsible for nutrients. So both are structures in which substances pass through. These are substances, just like our previous classes when we're talking about capillary tube. Responsibility of the functions of the capillary tube is like an interchange. It's responsible for the transport of substances through. Now, the major similarity there is that they both have capillary wells. So that's the whole summary of everything. The alveoli and the villi, they both have capillary wells through which substances pass through. Now, let's look at this question. The tiny hair-like structure that lines the respiratory tract and helps particles are called dash. The tiny hair-like structures that lines the respiratory tract and helps to trap particles are called dash. A, your trachea. B, your cilia. C, your villi, and D, your air. The correct answer is your cilia. The cilia is a tiny hair-like structure. Most of the time, it's microscopic. It's very, very tiny. Requires microscopic detection. It is usually in the lining of the respiratory tract. So the answer is the cilia. The cilia is a tiny hair-like structure that lines the respiratory tract and helps to trap particles. Now, the cilia is usually located in the respiratory tract, and it helps you not to breathe in contaminations in your hair. That's the function of the cilia. It helps to trap contaminated particles or contaminated particles, small particles that are present in the hair, so you don't inhale it and it becomes a damage. The cilia is the correct answer. Now let's look at this one. It says, which organ is responsible for gaseous exchange or gas exchange in the human body? Which organ? Okay, before I go there, let me quickly talk about the trachea. The trachea is responsible. These are the functions. These are the functions of most of our organs in the respiratory system. The trachea is a tube that carries air from the throat to the lungs. So the trachea is not an hair-like structure. We have the villi. The villi is actually part of the digestive system. It's present in the small intestine, responsible for reabsorption of nutrients. So then your hair, and so the correct answer is your cilia. Which organ is responsible for gaseous exchange in humans? Which organ is responsible for gaseous exchange in humans? A, liver. B, kidney. C, your lungs. D, your heart. This one is very simple. The lungs. The lungs is a very important part of the respiratory system, which is responsible for gaseous exchange. The gaseous exchange involves two gases, which is your oxygen and your carbon dioxide. Now, which of the next question says, which of the following is not part of the respiratory system? Which of the following is not part of the respiratory system? Which of the following is not part of the respiratory system? 1. A, the trachea. B, the bronchi. C, the esophagus. D, the alveoli. The answer here is the esophagus. The esophagus, also known as the gullet, is part of the digestive system, not the respiratory system. For the rest here, the trachea is part of the respiratory system, which is responsible for transport of air to the throat. I think I mentioned that earlier on. The trachea carries air from the throat to the lungs. The bronchi is part of the bronchi is one of the two main parts of the trachea. Then the last option there is your alveoli. The alveoli is also part of the respiratory system, which is also responsible for gaseous exchange. So the only option there that is not related to the respiratory system is your esophagus. Esophagus is your gullet that connects your mouth to your stomach. Now let's look at the next question, which says exchange of oxygen. Okay, sorry. Okay. Exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the alveoli and the blood is called dash. The exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the alveoli and the blood is called dash. Let me see if my mic is still connected.
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, man. All right. So the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the alveoli and the blood is called dash. A, this cellular respiration. B, the external respiration. C, the pulmonary ventilation. D, the internal respiration. The correct answer is the external respiration. External respiration is the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Now, it's called the external because it requires the exchange of gases between the specifically between the lungs which is made up of your alveoli and the rest. Now, let me quickly give a deep explanation of it. Your blood, your blood undergoes diffusion, which involves the diffusion of oxygen being received from your lungs when you breathe in oxygen. It diffuses it, the blood receives it through diffusion through your blood vessels. At the same time, the blood also diffuses CO2, which is your carbon dioxide, back into the lungs for you to breathe out. So you breathe in oxygen, it diffuses into your blood. Your blood also diffuses O2, CO2 into the lungs for exhalation. So that is called external respiration because it involves CO2 and oxygen. Now, internal respiration is not the answer because it requires the exchange of gases between the blood and the body tissues and cells. Then cellular respiration is simply a process that leads to production of energy. It's just simply production of energy. Then pulmonary ventilation is just your breathing. That's your movements of your diaphragm when you breathe in and breathe out. So the answer is external respiration. Exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the alveoli and the blood is called the external respiration. Option B. The human body system in the human body system that interacts with each cell of the body is called dash. The human body system which interacts with each cell of the body is called dash. A, the circulatory system. B, the digestive system. C, the muscular system. And D, the skeletal system. The correct answer here is the circulatory system. Just like we highlighted in the previous class, like the circulatory system is not complete until it reaches the cell. It must get to each cell. That is where the diffusion, the exchange of gases, is complete. There is no diffusion, there is no circulatory system without the reach of blood, the reach of gases, the reach of nutrients. So it is the only system that touches each cells of the body. Without the circulatory system, cells cannot receive nutrients, cells cannot receive gases through diffusion and through the blood. Digestive system, no. The muscular system, no. The skeletal system, no. The answer is the circulatory system. In the 17th century, English physician Williams Harvey concluded that blood in the vein flows towards the heart. Which of the following facts helps to support Harvey's conclusion? Which of the following facts helps to support Harvey's conclusion? His conclusion was that blood flows towards the heart. A. The heart pumps about 1,800 gallons of blood every per day. The heart has four chambers: the atria, two atrias, that's your auricles, and two ventricles. Large vein branch. Large veins branch into smaller blood vessels called capillaries, the veins have valves that allows blood to flow in one direction only? The answer here is option D. Option D is the fact that supports Harvey's conclusion. Harvey's conclusion was that the blood flows, the blood that flows in the vein goes now your veins, like we explained in the previous class, has a valve which makes it different from your arteries. The arteries has no valve. The reason the main function of the valve is to prevent the flow back. It prevents your blood from flowing backwards. So it is one direction only, and that direction is the transportation of blood back to the heart. The heart pumps that those facts. The rest of the fact does not support Harvey's conclusion. So quickly, we are going to talk about health issues. Before then, okay, let me open the previous notes. We're going to finish up the previous note, okay? Yes. So before then, I want us to quickly conclude our explanation on digestive system quickly, briefly, before we now move to health issues. I'll be sharing my slide now. This is okay. That is the last aspect of that's the last aspect of human body system. We're done. So we've talked about the circulatory, we've talked about the respiratory, the digestive, and the nervous, but we've not concluded digestive. The digestive system simply we'll just be listing the relevant parts of the digestive system, which is the esophagus. The digestive system has about 4 processes, which is injection, that's when you take in food, down to your digestion, your absorption, and your elimination. Elimination is your excretion. Absorption is the movement of the absorption of nutrients into the body, and this takes place in your small intestine, precisely the villi. We can see that in the previous question that we answered. The villi is part of the absorption, is part of the absorption step of the digestive system. So these are the key parts, the key steps of the digestive system. Number one is your esophagus, like, or also known as the gullet, which is responsible for carrying your food from your mouth to your stomach. Then we also mentioned last week that digestion starts from the mouth. We have your stomach, which contains gastric juices, your small intestine, where your small intestine is where the absorption takes place. through the help of enzymes, your bile, then your duodenum. Under the small intestine, we have duodenum and the duodenum. Both sections are responsible for the duodenum. The duodenum is where the concentration of enzymes. This place is secured. This is quite a very short part of the small intestine, responsible for, is concentrated for the activities of the enzymes from your pancreas and your bile. Your duodenum is where absorption takes place. That's where you find your villi. Your ileum is responsible for the absorption of vitamin B12, bile salts, and so on. Then finally, your large intestine. Your large intestine is where water, electrolytes are being absorbed for formation of waste products. Now, after your large intestine, you have your rectum and your anus, where you store and eliminate. The rectum is where stool is stored, while your anus is where it's been eliminated. So that is all. Then the immune system, the immune system is where we'll be talking about now. That's where we are going to under health issues. Now, under health issues, we'll be talking about health issues is very straightforward. We'll be talking about what are the things that causes health issues. We have our things that affect, might not be the causes, but things, qualities that have a direct impact on our health, which is infections, our nutrients, and we'll be talking about them very briefly, and we're answering questions on them. Now, the health is affected by three things, which is your infections, your nutrition, and your substances. And that's where the immune system comes in. The immune system consists of immune cells, which is your white, especially which is simply called your white blood cells, which is responsible for fighting infections, which have been introduced by your protozoans, your bacteria, and your viruses. Now, infections is a part of things that can affect your health. We'll have the nutrition and substance abuse. Now, quickly, we're taking some questions. Which of the following is among the body's first barrier against germs? Which of the following is among the body's first barrier against germs? A, the immune system. B, the antibodies. B, the antibiotics. C, the antibodies, the skin. Now, the answer is the skin. The skin has a cutaneous layer. Underneath, we have the epidermis and the dermis. Now, your first body barrier, or your first layer of defense system against germs is your skin. After the skin, then it comes to your immune system, which contains your antibodies. So the answer is your skin. Now each evening, Sarah has a glass of wine. If there is no wine in the house, she feels a strong urge to get some, although she feels no ill effects if she's not. What is Sarah's relationship to the alcohol? What is Sarah's relationship with alcohol? A. Addiction, physical dependence. C. Habituation. D. Withdrawal. Now the correct answer here is addiction. Addiction is under, please can we hear me? Okay, addiction is under the drug influence. Addiction is under the drug influence. The drug influence, like we said earlier on, your health, the health issues are being influenced by your nutrition, substance abuse, and infections. Now, when one is kind of having an urge to take a substance, even though there is no noticeable effect, or there is no noticeable attribution of that particular substance to your health, or to, that is called an addiction. You don't have any when there is no, let me say, health connection. It's just like a tendency for you to just take something without any, your tendency to take drugs without any form. I hope I can still be heard. All right. Ability to take substances without any form of health connection. And so our answer here is addiction, not physical dependence, not habituation, not withdrawal. Now, quickly, I want us to answer a question here. I skipped it. On the diagram, circle the names of the structure through which urine passes from the kidney to the bladder. On the diagram, that's the diagram above, we are circling the names of structures through which urine passes from the kidney to the bladder. As we can see here, the bladder is the white colored, dotted, something like gray colored parts of the body. Now, the parts there through which urine passes from the kidney is the urethra. I don't know, the urethra, that's URETER. The urethra is the linking channel through which urine passes from the kidney down to the bladder. When the bladder is full, then it is now being passed out through the urethra. So that the answer there is the urethra, and as we can see, it happens to be the main connecting channel between your kidney and your bladder. Now let's look at the next one. It says a urologist is a doctor which specializes in disorders of the urinary system. Which of the following patients is most likely to be treated by a urologist? 1. A patient with a low level of iron in her blood. 2. A patient with a painful kidney stone. C. A person with swollen veins in the anus called the the hemorrhoids. D, a person with chronic indigestion. Now, which of the following patient is most likely to be treated by, like we said earlier on, urology is someone that's, now we should, how do we approach this question? We're approaching it with disorders that links. Let's take it one by one. A low level of iron in the blood is not linked to a disorder in the urinary system. A painful kidney stone. A painful kidney stone. Kidney stone is caused by accumulation of salt concentrates, especially concentrates like your sodium. When as a result of high concentration of salt, the salt begins to form crystals in the in between the nephrons in your kidney. Now, low level of iron in the blood simply means that there is a higher passage or an higher output of iron through your, which means there is a problem with your glomerulus. So our answers here is between A and B. Most likely is going to be your urologist. Now, the urinary system contains your glomerulus filtrate, which normally is responsible for filtering important relevant nutrients, micronutrients. When the glomerulus, which is part of the urinary system, is faulty, you have excess pass outs, and that's why you have a lower level of iron. So our answer here is option A. That's option A for that. So we are going back to this question. Now, question 3 and 4 are based on the following tables. Your nutrient description, functions, and sources. Now we are to use this table to answer the questions below. Which of the following statements is supported by the information in the table? A, fat is more concentrated. Am I still okay? All right. Fat is more fat. I want to. I hope I'm still audible. I want to thank everyone for still being part of the class. Please, if I am not audible, the comment section is there to bring me back on track. Thank you. Which of the following statement is supported by the information table? Fat is a more concentrated source of energy than carbohydrates. B, vitamin is more important in the nutrients is more important in the diet than minerals. C, a good source of vitamin C is citrus fruits. D, mineral provides a low fat source of energy. Now let's look at this. For fats, providing 9 calories, okay? And let's look at option B. Is there a part of this statement that says, is there a part of this table that says vitamin is a more important than mineral? Let's check. No. So it is actually required in a very small quantity. So option B is wrong. Option C says a good source of vitamin C is citrus fruits. Vitamin C. The answer is no, that one is wrong. Let's look at the last option, which says minerals provides low fat source energy. The answer is no. So our answer here is option A. Option A, because according to the table, fat will give you about 9 calories of energy compared to carbohydrate, who gives you about 4 calories of energy. Though the body prefers to obtain its energy from carbohydrates, but fat has a higher concentration of energy sources over times 2 of what your carbohydrate will provide. So the answer is option A. Fats are more concentrated source of energy than carbohydrates. Now let's look at the next one. Which of the following is a fact rather than an opinion based on the table? Which of the following is a fact? Which of the following is a fact rather than an opinion based on the table? Eating meat is the best way to get sufficient protein. Eating meat is the best way to get sufficient protein in your diet. B, carbohydrate comes from fruit as well as from bread and rice. C, iron is the only mineral you need. D, everyone should drink 8 glasses of water. Now, from the table, which one? Okay, which of the following is a fact rather than an opinion based on the table? From the table here, we all have facts here, and compared to what we have in the option, eating meat is okay. Let's look at the table. Protein. Now, is it a fact that eating meat is the best way to get sufficient protein? Okay, let's look at option B. Okay, now of all the 3 options here, iron is the only mineral you need. No, that's not true. That is an opinion. Everyone should drink 8 glasses of water in a day. That is also an opinion. Eating meat is the best way. It's very close, but it is not the answer. It is not the answer because obviously it's not the only way. It is more like an opinion. The facts here is that carbohydrates come from fruits as well from bread and rice. As you can see from the table, carbohydrates, the main one of the few sources is your bread, your pasta, your cereal, your rice, your fruits, and your potatoes. So fruits, we're talking of fruits. Most fruits like your apple, your banana. These fruits, they all contain sugar, which is also an important source of carbohydrates. So before we proceed, I'll quickly have to talk to us about just an introduction about the three parts of health. I mean, 3 things that have a very great impact on health, which is one, your infection, like I introduced earlier on. Infection is simply the invasion of the body by germs, micromolecules, microorganisms, that was microbes, that causes disease. I also mentioned that those microbes includes your bacteria and viruses, which constitutes most of your germs. So one of the 3 things that balances your health is your nutrition. Most of the questions we answered here is based on drugs, nutrition, and even the more questions we're answering based on drugs, infections, and your nutrition. So that's simply what infections are. These are external. These are an external invasion of the body by germs. So those germs, like we said, they might include your they will include your bacteria and your viruses. Then um we're looking at the last part, which is okay. Let's look at the second part, which is your nutrients. So nutrients are substances that are needed for growth. We have highlighted them already. We've looked at the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fats, the minerals. Those are under nutrients. Now the body cannot be able to strike its balance. Uh, the body cannot be able to strike its balance without a complete proportion of those nutrients. Then we talked about drugs. Quickly, when there is a severe form of dependence, okay, when there's a severe form, now drugs. The first question which we answered about Sarah, about Sarah involves her complete addiction. Her complete addiction to, now it's not as if an addiction is so bad that there is no connection, there is no health impact of of whatever addiction, whether it's a drug or whether it's a substance or wine or whatever it is. Usually there is no physical or health connection to these things. But but there is no physical or health connection to them, but the person tends to feel connected. Now, I will tell us the difference between addiction, psychological dependence, and habituation. Now, the minor form of dependence, the minor form of addiction is called psychological dependence or habituation. Psychological dependence or habituation. It is a type of dependence that urges you to take a strong form of drugs. Example is your marijuana or hallucinogen. People who abuse substances like that and so on. Not only related to that, we have inhalants which are being steeped. So drugs and nutrition, and finally your infections are things that determines the condition or stability of health. So quickly, us to take a few more questions before we round off. What is the most effective way to prevent the spread of, okay, this one is very simple, of diseases? Washing of hands regularly, taking vitamins daily. Most effective way, avoiding physical exercise. C, drinking more water. And D, taking vitamins. The most effective way is A, because if there is no contact, option A, washing of hands regularly. If there is a steady removal of germs to your body, you won't have to depend on the rest, which is taking of water and the rest of them. Taking of water has no direct influence on infectious diseases. Taking of vitamins does not have any direct effects on infectious diseases. Okay. Then the mic is on. Okay. That is it. Vaccines helps the body to build immunity to specific diseases. True or false? Correct. Mary feels stressed due to work and family responsibilities. What are the two healthy ways to manage her stress? Mary feels very stressed due to work. Simple. The two ways is one, rest. The process by which human maintains a stable and internal environment is called dash. The process by which human body maintains a stable internal environment is called dash. The answer is homeostasis. Homeostasis is the correct answer. Homeostasis is the process by which a body maintains a steady internal environment. Three, three lifestyle changes that can prevent heart diseases. Three lifestyle changes that can prevent heart diseases. One is um, no sleep deprivation, no sleep deprivation, good nutrients, and steady exercises. Those are the three lifestyles that can help to change. So these are some of the few other questions that we have related to health issues. So we've solved questions on health issues, GED past questions, health issues. Some are subjective. We solved on respiratory, and we've solved on respiratory, and we've also solved on circulatory system. More questions will be coming up before our next topic. Our next topic is simply going to be from atoms and molecules. Thank you.